So recently I've been getting a lot of questions as to whether someone should FOMO and buy a new handheld right now, or if they should buy a last generation device. So that's what we're doing here. We're taking a look at this Ayaneo Next Lite. Is it worth picking up? Let's find out. Okay, so maybe this isn't last gen exactly. Wait, when did this come out?
Wow, what the?
Okay, maybe that's an AI hallucination or something. Yeah, nope, it's more like last gen. That said, the premise should still give you an idea of what I'm trying to figure out here, and that is whether or not you should spend your money on a device that is dated. In this case, the Ayaneo Next Lite, which packs a Ryzen 4500U. There is also a 4800U spec, but I don't have that one here. As always, I'll tell you what I like about this device, but let me also throw the specs up on the screen about this 7-inch 1280 by 800p display with a 47 watt-hour battery, and depending on the spec that you get, it's going to have that 4500U or the 4800U. This one here is the 4500U, and all models have 16 gigs of DDR4X RAM, not 5X. So while a year or two ago, these specs would have been just fine, this time it's not going to captivate anyone who likes the shinies like the Ally X and even that new MSI Claw coming. Or you know what, maybe even that white Steam Deck OLED. Hey, no, you stop it, man, stop FOMOing. But what the specs don't tell you is whether or not this thing is inherently an Ayaneo device. I previously owned an Ayaneo 2, which to this day I do regret parting with because I needed the funds to fuel this channel. I mean, addiction. Or channel. Yeah, that's a statement. And what I mean by that though is whether or not the guts of this thing make it an Ayaneo, like the Hall sticks, good ergonomics, and of course Ayaspace, which this one does have. When it comes to dimensions and overall feel of the device is a little bit smaller than the Steam Deck, and most of the weight is concentrated in the center. I would say ergonomically it feels fine. And in this case, Ayaspace 2 is probably the biggest selling point for me. Yes, there are things like Armory Crate on an Ally or Legion Space on the Legion, but this thing is a little bit special when it comes to the handheld PC market, anything running Windows anyway. For example, what's bundled into the Ayaspace software is FPS Thunder, which if you've ever had any kind of experience with RTSS, you'll know that, yeah, it's not a good time. And while I'm gushing over Ayaspace 2, I'll also tell you that I do like these sticks. They are characteristically Ayaneo with the metal housing. Overall though, other things that might make this an Ayaneo device are kind of missing here, and I'll talk about those later after I tell you about the performance. In terms of performance, this is not going to win any awards by any means. The Steam Deck, for instance, is going to blow this thing out of the water, but can you still play any kind of game on this? Well, with things like frame generation, you'd be surprised how far this can actually get you. So here's some footage of Miles Morales here, and you can see we still get playable frame rates. No, it's not the greatest experience, and you would probably be better off doing some emulation on this type of device, but I'm actually thoroughly impressed with the fact that even Cyberpunk will be running. I suppose at this point you could say that this is a testament to the quality and improvements to frame generation as opposed to the APU that's inside of this thing, but I digress. So for me, there are a couple of misses here with the Ayaneo Next Lite, and I don't think this is because of the age of the device. Remember how I said earlier there are some characteristics of an Ayaneo device? For me, that means glass top finish, fingerprint sensor, Ayaspace 2, these awesome Hall sticks, and of course a screwless design. All of these things, except for Ayaspace 2, are uncharacteristically missing from this device. I mean, it's also missing the Ayaneo custom buttons, which I also love. And while I understand that this is more directed to the budget or entry-level device, I feel like it's a bit of a miss because this is what we know and love about Ayaneo devices. So I'm going to circle back now to that question of whether you should buy a last gen or last gen device. And of course, if you're a regular to this channel, you know that price to performance is of the utmost importance to me. And if you're not a regular, why don't you slap the like and subscribe buttons right now? As of this video, this particular unit goes for $300 off of their own website, but you can't actually buy it there because it seems like it's out of stock. The 4800U variant can be found on Best Buy, which is a good thing if you plan to return it or you really need to return it. That device though comes in at $400, and unfortunately, if you've also seen the Steam Deck video that I have on the channel, you know that I consider that of the highest tier for bang to your buck performance. So does this come in at better value than a Steam Deck? Unfortunately, no. But that is a really high bar to meet. And I would say for this particular device, it can be looked at as a sort of Steam Deck alternative. It would probably do great for emulation too, even though I didn't test it here, because unfortunately there is one huge glaring issue for this device, and that is the lack of a micro SD card. Why, Ayaneo? Why? But that's just what I think. What do you think? Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you'll be picking up a Next Lite or a Steam Deck.